This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association. Your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Thursday, January 11th, 2024, and we're so glad you could join us for today's show. In today's episode, I will be joined by Caleb Quinlan with Brevant Seeds. We will also have a check of the ag weather outlook, but first, let's run down the closing markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day, we are joined by Kaden Sweeney of agmarket.net for our closing market analysis. Kaden, what did we see take place in the grains today ahead of tomorrow's big WASDE report?
Yeah, really pretty quiet going into tomorrow's WASDE, which I guess you would almost expect, nobody wanting to put any big positions on going into that thing just because this is a report that is just such a hard to guess, one of the 2-3 biggest of the year, in my opinion. And you have so much data coming out from it with the WASDE and the stocks report, it's just hard to guess. So closing today, corn down 2-3 cents, depending on the contract. Beans up a penny or so after being up double digits early, going to settle about a penny higher.
As you alluded to, this is one of the more important WASDE reports because of what it can do to the marketplace from the information that we learn. But could you remind us, Kaden, again, why this is such an important report? What information are we learning tomorrow that causes those movements?
Yeah, you got kind of a two-sided effect here. You're getting two reports at once. So the WASDE report, as you know, we get every month. But usually the December report is pretty quiet as it's coming in around the holidays. So it's really been basically 2 months since the November report, since we got any pretty serious fundamental data. So on the WASDE side of that, it's always an important one because of that 2-month gap. It gives the USDA some time to get yield and such figured out. So you usually have a pretty strong yield number by this point. On the other side of that, you also have the quarterly grain stocks report that typically would come out at the end of December. But again, with the holidays, they just postpone it to this report. That stocks report's always pretty hard to get a good handle on going into it. And so that's often where you can see the surprises. We're trying to figure out how much corn and beans we have on hand right now.
And with the WASDE report, obviously, we are very excited to learn about what changes will be made to any of the South American production. But what else are you looking forward to finding out tomorrow, Kaden? What's something you've kind of circled and said, hey, we need to find out what's going on in this area?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. As I alluded to, January report is usually when you get a pretty strong yield number. And interestingly enough, USDA did change yield a bit in December, and the estimates going into tomorrow's report are keeping the yield the same from December, 174.9 for corn, 49.9 for beans. So I'm interested to see that. Obviously, a yield cut or increase is the quickest way to change your ending stocks at the end of your balance sheet. Demand will always certainly have a forefront there. We're going to see what we do with exports. I think they're probably going to come down over the course of the marketing year. We'll see how much we do tomorrow. But the first thing I look for when I open the reports always yield. And again, as I said, we're kind of looking for a pretty minimal change as to no change from December. So any change there, any drastic change, I should say, will catch the market off guard.
So we will all be dialed into that tomorrow. That report will be released at 11 a.m. here Central Time in the state of Iowa. Anyway, that is the release time. Kaden, what's happening right now in the wheat markets as well? As we've seen in the tail end of 2023, start of 2024, wheat has been a driver of the markets one way or the other, it seems like a lot of these days.
Yeah, wheat always the hard one to figure out, certainly from my vantage point. It's such a global crop that you get so much influence from outside countries. We're going to close down about 6 cents today after trading higher at the end of 2023. We've kind of been somewhat sideways to down, similar to corn and beans, here in 24. But it's one of those crops where, as I said, it's hard to figure out. But I do think a move to 650 is probably warranted on old crop. I just feel like, we're about 606 right now. I just feel like the way this market's been trading, oftentimes you get some funds, playing with that thing one way or another. I do think we've probably put it in the temporary low, looking for a run up to about 650 here over the next 60 days or so.
Let's switch over to the other side of the ag marketplace in the livestock complex. At midday today, quite a bit of green on the screen with some price movement to the upside. Is that how we close today?
It is, yeah. Live cattle going to close today up 90 cents. Feeders up $1.28 on a nice breakout. So both of those continuing to show some good strength. I do, again, think the bottom is in there on the cattle markets probably for a good while. Kind of been building a base since we've come off those lows, and now starting to see the breakout, especially in feeders today. So happy to see that. Hog market up 10 cents today, about 79. I actually think hog market has been just on an absolute tear. I actually think this is a good point to be selling it, or at least buying puts, as the hog market is reaching the 100-day moving average, which it has not traded above since September 21st. Each rally we've rallied up to that 100-day moving average has been sold. So if you're a hog producer, I think the $79 to $80 area on the April contract is one you need to take a very close look at, because again, this has been pretty strong resistance for us in the past 3-4 months.
Kaden, in talking with someone else about the markets recently, they said they had thought that there might be a little bit more price movement because of the recent winter storm that we received here in the middle of the United States, and that can always affect the cattle market. Could you remind us, please, how that does affect the cattle market, and were you of that same sentiment? Did you think it would change things a little bit more one way or the other?
I do think weather certainly can play a role, especially in cattle, as you alluded to. Whenever you get a big storm coming in, you certainly run the risk of animal loss, and obviously loss of animals means loss of production. Just makes it harder on the animal overall, and on feeding them out as well. So your production kind of takes a bit of a hit. So certainly, when you get a weather storm like we've had, and maybe still to come next week, you can see a pop in these cattle markets as we've seen. And I do think it's important to remember that if you do get that pop, a weather event is certainly kind of a temporary thing. And so sometimes the market may overreact a bit to the upside. It's good to be locking in some of that profit if it shows up for you, if the markets react accordingly.
And we've got more snow headed on the way here in the state of Iowa for tomorrow, it looks like, in the forecast. So could be another chance here where the cattle markets are affected by the weather over the next few days. Kaden Sweeney, agmarket.net, our guest today. Kaden, what's the best way for our viewers to get in touch for more marketing information?
Yes, sir. Just go to our website, agmarket.net. You can still register for our conference coming up in Nashville first week of February. You can also reach myself or anyone from our team there for marketing plan going forward as we enter the meat of the marketing year here and get 24 underway.
Kaden, thanks so much for the time here today, as always. Appreciate it. Have a great day, and we'll speak again soon.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Appreciate you guys.
That was Kaden Sweeney with agmarket.net for our closing market analysis. Let's turn our attention now to the closing numbers, and those numbers are found under the Markets tab on our website at iowaagnet.com. March corn down 1 3/4 at $4.57 3/4. March soybeans unchanged at $12.36 1/2. March soybean meal down $2.10 at $3.6220. March soybean oil up 47 cents at $48.72. Chicago wheat down 7 even at $6.03 3/4. Minneapolis wheat down 7 3/4 at $7 even. Kansas City hard red wheat down 8 1/2 at $6.16 even. March oats down 2 even at $3.83 1/2. On the Merc, February live cattle up $1.05 at $171.80. January feeder cattle up $1.65 at $226.27. February lean hogs up 52 cents at $72.60. February pork cutout up 97 cents at $86.47, and Class 3 milk down 2 cents at $15.18. And that has been our closing market coverage here on Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. It is time now for a quick break. We will hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association, and the Soybean Checkoff. And when we come back, I will be joined by Caleb Quinlan with Brevant Seeds. This is AMPM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
In today's episode of Ag Matters PM, I am joined by Caleb Quinlan with Brevant Seeds. He's going to tell us about 2 new corn trait platforms that they have released and some more new exciting technology from Brevant Seeds. Mark Magnuson for the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. We are at NAFB Trade Talk, and I'm here with Caleb Quinlan with Brevant. And Caleb, what is your role within the organization?
Yep, so I'm a retail product agronomist, so I work within a geography with local ag retailers.
So Caleb, what are you excited to talk to people here about at Trade Talk so far today?
Absolutely. So there's a lot of exciting things that Brevant is bringing to market. We just launched 2 new corn trait platforms. We're continuing to launch Corteva E3 proprietary lines, and we've seen extreme performance after we've gone to our Corteva proprietary lines, and so lots of exciting things from the Brevant standpoint.
Those 2 corn platforms, what are we looking at there?
Yep, so they're going to be labeled as Vorseed and PowerCore Enlist, and so Vorseed is our above and below ground protection for insect traits, and so 3 modes of action above, 3 modes of action below. So if you're familiar with Chrome, we added RNAi to our Chrome products, and so advancing that line. And then the PowerCore Enlist is our above ground traits that we have with our Vorseed. So, and then both of those come with 4 herbicide tolerances, and so Roundup Ready, Liberty Link, FOP, and 2,4-D choline. So a lot of different options for growers to work with.
That's what I was going to say. It just sounds like a lot of options, a lot of flexibility. Was that kind of the end goal?
Absolutely. So we wanted to maximize yield potential, bring these traits without sacrificing yield for that protection, have increased insect protection than what we currently have on the market, and then also have the advancements into those problematic areas where we need those traits. And so very exciting to bring those to market for growers.
Do those corn traits, have they shown to do well with some of the insects that we deal with a lot here in the state of Iowa?
Yeah, so increased rootworm control is really what Vorseed is all about. And you talk about that product and the level of protection that we have, plus the herbicide flexibility. I think the Iowa farmers are going to be extremely pleased with this launch.
And some of these pests, that attack plants under the surface of the soil, and of course you can't see exactly what's happening, and then sometimes it is too late. So is that the important part about having your traits all lined up, because then you have protection ahead of time?
Absolutely. Anything that we can do to help set the farmer up for success before something detrimental happens. Often, like you mentioned, we have an occurrence, Mother Nature, and it's often too late to do anything. So providing those products to differentiate, make sure they have added protection is definitely something that we're promoting and being proactive about.
Speaking of being proactive, I know that to get these traits through research and development takes a long time. So how are you always trying to stay ahead of the curve when you know that there's always weed resistance, things like that popping up on the back end, and you're still trying to get out ahead of a problem that you were dealing with in the past?
Absolutely. So our extensive research team does a phenomenal job at kind of foresighting some of those concerns. Tar spot has been a concern, and it's continuing to move west, and so a lot more has gone into testing and making sure that our tech sheets have ratings for those types of diseases. But yeah, it's our product team and our development team definitely has better insight than a lot of people to try to help be ready for that next potential disaster or potential threat to the American farmer.
So Caleb, are these products that we've all talked about today, are they available right now? Are they soon to be available? What are we looking at?
Yep, so we just launched those this year, and so there will be commercial launches of those products available for 2024. It's going to be a limited launch because we just previously launched them a couple months ago, and so they will be available for 2024, and we're going to continue to advance that to have even more options in 2025.
So how would a farmer go about lining that up if they're interested?
Yes, so they would speak with their local ag retailer to figure out which products are available for their maturities, their areas, or they can visit Brevant.com and look at some tech sheets themselves.
And is there anything else you'd like to let our audience back in Iowa know about what you're working on at Brevant and maybe what's in the future?
Yeah, so along with the corn trait platforms, we're also bringing some new soybean cyst nematode traits as well. So it's called the Peking SCN trait, which is differentiating another level of protection, which Iowa State has done significant studies on those and have seen 95% egg count reductions when using that trait. So both corn and soybeans have exciting things coming from Brevant.
Caleb Quinlan with Brevant, thank you so much for taking the time to speak here at Trade Talk NAFB 2023. Have a great rest of the show.
Thank you.
Thank you once again to Caleb Quinlan with Brevant Seeds. It is time now for the Ag Weather Outlook. Is today the calm before the storm, or is today the calm in between the storms? I guess that is the question as we are getting ready for an impending snowstorm headed for us here in central Iowa. And of course, it is going to affect much of the state. And that is going to be taking place more this evening and tomorrow, as it is cold today, but it's mostly just overcast and cloudy. Then into the evening hours tonight, it will get very cold as those temperatures will dip down, and the snowfall is expected to begin this evening, and then we'll transition into more snowfall tomorrow Areas of blowing snow as well, with those gusts expected to be up into the high 20s. So make sure you check with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate for your full weather forecast in your area, as travel could be difficult, and in fact, it could be dangerous with this impending snowstorm. So let's turn our attention now to the National Weather Service and what's in store for the next 24 hours.
As you can see from the National Weather Service, mostly cloudy today, then a chance of snow, high expected 13 to 27. Tonight, heavy snow and areas of blowing snow, with the temperature range between 0 and 23 degrees. Snow and patchy blowing snow in the forecast for tomorrow, with highs expected 8 to 32. And now turning our attention to our affiliate weather map for tomorrow. Cherokee, snow and patchy blowing snow with a high expected around 8 degrees. Shenandoah, chance for snow and areas of blowing snow, high of around 12. Des Moines, snow and blowing snow, high of around 18. Albia, snow and patchy blowing snow, high of 25. Waterloo, heavy snow and patchy blowing snow with the temperature at 24. And Clinton, wintry mix and patchy blowing snow, high expected around 32.
For a more detailed forecast in your part of the state, make sure and check with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. And that brings us to the end of the Ag Weather Outlook. It also brings us to the end of this episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. Also on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Click on the notification icon as well to alert you to any new videos from the network. You can also follow us on social media on Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok. And you can listen to our free Twice Daily Market podcast on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. For Riley Smith, Dustin Huffman, and Andy Peterson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.